When a character dies in a modern D&D game, the evening grinds to a halt. The player's out for an hour. The referee scrambling to explain why a stranger just showed up in a jail cell 3 levels deep. It's a design failure, and BXD&D solved it in 1981. Today I'm going to show you exactly how the retainer procedure works and why it's the single best tool for keeping your campaign alive when the dice do their worst. But in a classic BX Dungeons and Dragons session, character death isn't a bug. It's an anticipated, mechanically supported feature of the exploration loop. The reason a sudden spike trap or an unlucky maximum damage roll doesn't destroy a 3-year campaign isn't because old school players don't care about their characters. It's because of a single, criminally misunderstood system that has been right there in the rulebook since 1981. The retainer procedure. Let's look at the actual anatomy of how this works at the table, why it keeps the story moving, and how it provides real campaign continuity without relying on artificial character shields, plot armor, or corporate design hand-waving. First, we need to clear up a massive piece of misinformation that plagues the broader tabletop community. Retainers are not hirelings. In classic BX rules, a hireling is a non-player character you pay a flat daily rate to perform a specific non-combat task. They are your torchbearers, your mule drivers, your teamsters, and your camp guards who watch the horses outside the dungeon entrance. They are ordinary townspeople looking for a payday. They do not go down the hole to fight manticores unless things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. And if a fight breaks out, they're looking for the nearest exit. A retainer is a different animal. They're not hired help. They're an apprentice. They're a mercenary partner. They're a fellow seeker of fortune. They sign a contract for a full share or half of whatever you pull out of the dungeon. They go down the hole with you. They stand in a rank right behind the frontline fighter. They check the doors. They carry the secondary lantern. They cast utility spells. And they share every single ounce of the physical risk. Sound familiar? Well, it should. This is the rule your referee's guide has been describing in shorthand for years. And most importantly, they are characters in waiting. Think about how this functions mechanically during a live session. When you sit down at a classic BX table, your main character doesn't exist in a vacuum as a solitary superhero. You have a maximum number of retainers you can employ, dictated directly by your character's charisma score. If you have a charisma of 15, the rules state you can have up to 4 retainers with an 8 base morale. Think about what that means at the table. Your 4-person party? It's not 4 people. It's 8. It's 12. It's 16. A full expeditionary force of named, competent individuals, all sharing the same operational history. They've explored the wilderness together. They've shared rations around the same campfire. They have watched each other's backs during a surprise goblin ambush on the road. They have shared the same exact operational history. Now, let me give you a real-time example of how this plays out. Your level 3 fighter, Morgan the Bold, steps on a pressure plate. The saving throw, fails. The poison dart damage is maximum. Morgan is dead on the cold stone floor of the dungeon. In a modern design parodian, the player is now an observer. Their night is effectively paused while the rest of the group scrambles to finish the room. In BX, well, the player looks across the table. They pick up the retainer's card. Let's say it's a level 1 elf named Valerie. And they step right in. No break, no stutter, no absurd explanation. There is no need for the referee to invent an excuse as to why a random elf is wandering around the third level of, I don't know, the barrel maze. Valerie was already there. She was holding the second lantern. She watched Morgan die. She knows exactly what killed him, and she is already holding her sword. But the continuity goes much deeper than just having a spare miniature ready on the table. The retainer inherits the immediate campaign context. When that retainer takes up the mantle of a primary player character, they aren't starting from scratch in your world. They inherit the dead character's share of the dungeon map. They inherit the gear, assuming the survivors can carry Morgan's plate mail and sword out of the room. They inherit the party's standing with the local baron, the debts owed to the moneylender back in town, and the burning hatred for the cultists who killed their former employer. The emotional investment doesn't vanish, it shifts focus. The player isn't mourning a lost campaign or a broken story, they're continuing a saga of vengeance or survival using a character who has already earned their place in the fiction. That's not a mechanical trick, that's the difference between a 3-session campaign and a 3-year one. Sound familiar? Here's where the referee has real work to do and where the system earns its depth. For this system to work effectively at your table, the referee has to run the retainer mechanics exactly as written. You can't hand-wave the recruitment process or the upkeep because the friction is where the depth and the fun comes from. During downtime in town, players must actively spend gold to post notices on the town square, visit local taverns, and interview potential candidates. This is a brilliant tool for the referee to introduce world lore, hooks, and local factions. The person applying to be your retainer shouldn't be a blank sheet. They might be a disgraced town watchman looking for a second chance, the younger sibling of an NPC the party already pissed off, or a spy sent by a rival adventuring group to see what you're bringing out of the ruins. Furthermore, you must enforce the morale system. Retainers are real people within the world, not soulless, unfeeling ultimatums on a piece of paper. When the primary character dies or when the party faces overwhelming horror, you must roll the 2d6 morale check. If they pass, they steal their resolve, remember their contract, and step up to lead. And if they fail, now they might flee in panic, grab the nearest bag of gold and run, or refuse to enter the deeper levels the next time the party leaves town. That mechanical tension makes their loyalty mean something. If you are running a game for players who grew up entirely on modern, high fantasy systems, introduce this workflow because it can completely change their perspective on lethal play. It reframes the entire hobby. Show your players that having a character die isn't a punishment from the ref, it's an open door for an apprentice to fulfill their contract and step into the spotlight. It shifts the focus of the game from a story about specific superhero individuals to a multi-generational saga about an adventuring company. The company is what matters. The company's name, its ledger, its shared treasure vault, its strongholds, and its map of what survived across months or years of real-time play. Try this at your next session. Before the party leaves the tavern, have your players roll up 2 or 3 low-level retainers using the standard 3d6 down the line stats. Give them names. Give them one specific physical trait or quirk. Let them hold the torches, carry the spare rations, and guard the rear line. And when the main character inevitably meets their end at the hands of a rust monster, or a severe poison trap, or an unlucky maximum damage hit, don't stop the game. Hand the player the retainer's card. Look them in the eye and ask, what does your character do next? See, that is how you maintain momentum. That is how you build an old school campaign that lasts for years. And that's exactly how classic design achieves deep, long-term player investment without ever needing to pull a punch or fudge a single die roll behind the screen. Before you go, if you're part of the Tavern's Minions, a sincere thank you. You're the ones that keep this table lit every week. We are at, my God, 750 plus members strong, and that means everything to this channel. If you're not a member yet, hit the link below. Join us. Until next time, keep your rations dry, keep your oil flask full, watch your step on the stairs. God bless, and I'll catch you later.